What's that? Battlefront 2 was one of the highest selling games in the world the last few months, and we're another step closer to getting Battlefront 3, potentially. Guys, I've been so excited to make these kinds of videos to talk about the Battlefront news, to take another step, another positive step in the right direction for the future of the Battlefront franchise. Things are looking really good right now, and it just feels like Battlefront 2 keeps winning. It's positive after positive. Today, there are a few reports released which revealed just how well Battlefront 2 sold in May, when things were absolutely popping off. So today, I'm going to break that down, look into the numbers, and also talk about what this means for the future of Battlefront 3 and how EA and Lucasfilm can potentially use this data to just hurry up and make Battlefront 3. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. Subscribe so I get to 1 million subs before we actually get Battlefront 3. At this point, it's gonna happen. So guys, this stat I'm about to share with you is kind of crazy. In May, in the United States, Battlefront 2 went from the 135th best-selling game to the 12th best-selling game. In 1 month, it jumped 123 places and became the 12th best-selling game in the entire United States. And a few things to note here, this is across all platforms, and this was before Battlefront 2 was on sale on Steam, where you could pick up the game for roughly $4 or $5. That sale ended yesterday, but it only started in June. These stats are from May. In May, Battlefront 2 sold more copies across all platforms than titles like Red Dead Redemption 2, F1 25, Helldivers 2, The Last of Us Part 2. A lot of 2s here, there's a theme going on. All of which are newer and arguably larger games. The only games really above it on this list are the ones you'd expect to be above it, like Elden Ring Night Reign, Doom the Dark Ages, which came out in May, so clearly they're going to be the highest selling games. Then you have Forza Horizon, Elder Scrolls, Call of Duty, Minecraft, GTA, EA Sports FC, you know, the ones that are always at the top of the list. Battlefront 2 is just below these. But on top of this, what's arguably even more impressive, on PC, Battlefront 2 went up to 5th place, being the 5th most sold video game on PC in May. Even more interesting though, on this list, it's the highest game made by EA. So EA are literally making so much money from a game they haven't touched in 5 years that's selling more than games than they've made in the past 7 years. Bro, I'm broken. I can't do this anymore. When are we getting Battlefront 3? I'm losing my mind. Oh. Not trying to hate on EA or Lucasfilm or anything like that here. I'm sure if they have something that they're working on, they will show us what that is when the time is right. And there's no way they're not seeing this. There's no way the analysts at EA who make the big decisions, the executives, whoever, aren't seeing this number, aren't seeing that Battlefront 2 is literally making them more money than probably a lot of their other EA titles, which are more recent. Imagine this game didn't have the horrible launch it had. Imagine. We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close! And even across all platforms, on the other list I showed you before, the only other EA game that's above Battlefront 2 is EA Sports FC, which in some ways you'd kind of expect to be above it because it's just one of those money makers that everyone keeps buying and playing. It's absurd that Battlefront 2 has done this well. I love this community so much, even though it's incredibly frustrating sometimes when you see stuff like this and you're like, okay, great, so where's the next one? Why aren't they updating this game? Why did they ever cancel it? You tell me. Money! But what I find even crazier about all this is that this is new sales. This is new players joining the Battlefront across all platforms, specifically PC. But this doesn't take into account the 19 million players that claimed the game in 2021 when it was free on the Epic Game Store. They already have a copy, so they likely have no reason to buy the game again unless they want to play on a different platform. But Battlefront 2 is once again popping off like never before with new players joining the Battlefront. Imagine how many people this is as well. They're not actually revealing stats of how many players are buying the game. It's just entered the top 12 and the top 5 on PC. But this likely equates to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of sales within the space of a month or two. And like I said, doesn't even take into account the fact that the game was on sale on Steam in June and early July, in which the Steam play count was completely smashed, where the play count's previous peak of like 10,000 from April, May, then exploded to something like 35,000. And that's just concurrent players. That's players online at any one time. Look
at the size of that thing.
I think it's also important to talk about how consistent Battlefront 2's player base has stayed over the past few months. It's now basically 2 months after the Battlefront 2 resurgence began, but even though yes, things have died off a little bit, it feels like Battlefront 2 is here to stay. These players aren't going anywhere, and with the amount of new and returning players who are currently playing Battlefront 2, it feels like we're going to see a much more consistent player base continue into the future. It genuinely feels like more people are going to continue to play play Battlefront 2 over the next few months than they have in the past few years, perhaps since the game was free on Epic Games. And it feels like now more than ever, there's a real craving for a multiplayer Star Wars game like Battlefront 2. And this is still the best one out there. It's the best multiplayer Star Wars gaming experience you can arguably have. And according to the data I've gone over in today's video, Battlefront 2 is basically as popular as it was when the game was still alive, when there were still updates all the way back in like 2019. So genuinely, I think Battlefront 2 ain't going nowhere. But let's make sure that's the case. So as a heads up, these reports come from Circana, a data analysis company, and were posted by Matt Piscatella on Blue Sky. And I'm really curious to see where the numbers will be and where Battlefront 2 will be when the June report drops, after the Battlefront 2 sale on Steam. When we have numbers for that, I'll likely make another video talking about it and take a look at how much of a drop-off or increase there's been. My guess is that there will be another potential slight increase, or Battlefront 2 will stay strong for the month of June as well. All right, but what does any of this actually mean to the future of Battlefront, to the potential of Battlefront 3? I want to remind you that a few months ago, EA's president, Laura Millet, commented on the future of games and franchises they're working on, saying the company is focusing on a small handful of franchises going forward: Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends. And she didn't really make much or any reference to Star Wars. At this point in time, the only Star Wars games that we know we're getting from EA are the third Jedi game from Respawn and Star Wars Zero Company from BitReactor. Beyond this, it feels like they're focusing on their own IPs, but this statement was made before the Battlefront 2 resurgence over the past few months. I want to go ahead and say there is no way in the world EA aren't currently reconsidering their strategy towards the future of Star Wars games and the future of Battlefront following the last few months Battlefront has had. The resurgence of this game and the fact they're earning so much money for basically doing nothing is definitely something that will have piqued their interest and will hopefully influence them to make future business decisions about Battlefront and their involvement with Star Wars. But there is also the possibility of Battlefront 3 going to a completely different studio and developer altogether. Battlefront isn't owned by EA, it's owned by Lucasfilm, and they can license Battlefront out to pretty much whoever they want. One of the main problems I think with Battlefront as well is that it's such a big game to make that there is so much risk involved in time, in money, in assets, resources. Making Battlefront 3 is likely a 5-year kind of project that's going to cost, I don't know, maybe minimum like $500 million. And I feel like at this point in time in the gaming industry, maybe that's a risk that a lot of developers and publishers don't necessarily want to take. Perhaps this is part of why we don't have a Battlefront 3 yet. But guys, after what we've achieved in the past few months, after what you have all done with spiking the player count like this, with making Battlefront 2 one of the highest selling games on all platforms in May, I'm nothing but hopeful and optimistic about the future of Battlefront. And honestly, everything's still going well. People are still playing, the numbers and player counts are still high, it's still easy to find lobbies, and from what I've seen, so many new and old players are having a great time with this game.
You're goddamn right.
So don't stop writing Battlefront 3 everywhere. Don't stop playing Battlefront 2. Come and write Battlefront 3 to me on Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else. Don't forget to subscribe, watch this video for more Star Wars, and thanks for watching. Always remember,
stay bombastic.